demise of republic. Today we'll discuss the trends in Indian politics, the electoral politics. In the last couple of years, or you can say for the last 2 decades, to make it very precise, from 2014, when BJP along with its allies, that is known as NDA, came to power, the Indian politics witnessed or experienced a tectonic shift from the previous style of politics or the narratives. You would appreciate that the entire electoral politics in India has been vertically split into 2 halves. Of course, there may be some regional variations, but I am talking about the broader trends. On the first hand, the BJP, or for that matter the NDA, has by and large focused on 3 things. First, the Hindutva, the Sanatanis. They have always tried to arouse the Sanatanis or the Hinduism among the masses. We know that around 85% of the total population of this country is Hindu. So the first ingredient of this politics, the politics pursued by the BJP and NDA, is based on Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism or Hindu concept of state. The second is the nationalism, or to put it in other words, the Hindu nationalism. Because what they say that when you talk about nationalism, it is actually Hindu nationalism. And the third is the aggressive Indianness, Modi's guarantee. And of course, the aggressive campaign of the development making India as the Vishwaguru, or making India as the third largest economy in coming couple of years. So this is the first segment of the Indian politics, or the narratives of the Indian politics. On the second hand, we have the so-called secular parties. I call it so-called because we cannot attribute the word secularism with them, because many political strategists, many thinkers, many people across the state, they call that is a pseudo-secularism. However, I am not going to debate on the word pseudo-secularism. But the parties, on the other hand, those who stand against the ideological or at least electoral base against the BJP or NDA, now they have by and large understood that they cannot make inroads, or they cannot snatch a share of the political support among those who have rallied behind NDA on the narratives of Hindu nationalism or Hindutva or Sanatan or other rhetorics. So now they are left with the EBC, the OBC, the SCs, the STs and the minorities. Why I say this? Because the myth of Muslim support for the NDA constituents or the NDA parties, NDA's allies like JDU and the TDP, LJP, HUM, or for that matter any such smaller constituents of NDA has now burst. Now they have come to realize, or they have accepted it, that in future they are not going to get the support of the Muslim electors as such. So they have left it for the other parties. I will not call it India Alliance because it has already disintegrated. So the political party standing against the NDA, if I take this entire block as a one constituent, although it is not a monolithic structure, then they are now left with no option but to snatch maximum votes from OBC, Dalits, the STs and the minorities. Therefore, their narratives, in fact, the Rahul Gandhi in the last parliamentary election have to some extent been successful in making headway in the electors on the name of constitution, reservation, etc. As a matter of fact, this was the plank, or these are the issues on which they have been able to bring down BJP or BJP's number to 240 in the parliament. So now they have aggressively started pursuing this politics. After 2024 parliamentary election, if you listen to the speeches of Rahul Gandhi in his so many yatras, he has recently come to Bihar. As a matter of fact, he came 4 times in 3 months. And the Congress party has started raising 4 issues which they think help them bring voters or support amongst this group. The first is reservation. They always talk about reservation because these classes or these castes or group of castes are the castes who are by and large entitled to the provisions of the reservation. Second, Rahul Gandhi in every political rallies or gathering or any debate say that the BJP and NDA are snatching the rights of the Dalits, the Muslims, the EBCs, and they are trying to, what he says, change the very ethos of the Indian Constitution. And the third plank is their marginalization in the society, the poverty, the migration, the employment. As a matter of fact, Kanhaiya Kumar has started a Padayatra in Bihar, which what Congress calls as a Rozgar and Palayan Roko Yatra. So, broadly speaking, the entire Indian politics or the narratives, the saga or the chronicles of the Indian politics has been virtually divided into 2 halves. Now I will come to the Bihar politics. The entrance of Jan Suraj in the political arena with the announcement of Jan Suraj party on 2nd October 2024 in Patna has started making its impact felt in the politics of Bihar. Now, we need to understand that why the media, by and large, the political parties, to some extent the independent journalist, freelance journalist in all debates, why they seriously cast doubt on the electoral success of Prashant Kishore. Now, we will discuss this issue in this episode. So, my very purpose of making this video in English language is that let us make understand, or let us make people in this segment or in this territory that Prashant Kishore had started making a third kind of political electoral constituency in Bihar. So, his third kind of electoral political constituency is conspicuous by its difference from the national level two kinds of electoral political constituency which I have just discussed now. What Prashant Kishore says during his padyatras or during his rallies, in his speeches, in his debates, he speaks about, or rather what he says, that the very political goal of Jan Suraj party as such is based on the plight of the people of Bihar. He raises four kinds of issues in his all rallies, all speeches, all debates. First is the large scale migration. As a matter of fact, if people across the country feel or say that Prashant Kishore is inconspicuous, or he should not be taken into cognizance, then they must understand that why Congress party has started the Padyatra of Rozgar and Palayan. Why Nitish Kumar in all his advertisements publish in bold letters that Nitish matlab Rozgar. So the first plank, or the first stand, or the first strategy, the first narrative that Prashant Kishore brought in the Bihar political arena was the migration. There is no denying the fact that around 2.5 crores of the youths of different parts of this state have migrated to other state. Most of them are unskilled laborers. As a matter of fact, many skilled people have also migrated, because you don't have the software industries, we don't have any other kind of industries, you don't have any big business houses out here. So even the skilled people, I mean engineers, the doctors, the other professionals, they have migrated to other metropolis. So the first plan, the first narrative that Prashant Kishore has established here in political arena of Bihar is the migration. Second, for the first time, any political party has very categorically, very vociferously and very conspicuously, very emphatically says that the education system in Bihar has been ruined. And this is a fact. Whether it is primary education, whether it is secondary education, whether it is higher education, the technical education. In the last 3 decades, there is a gradual and there is a regular and there is a systematic deterioration in the quality of education here in Bihar. As a matter of fact, everybody would appreciate that education is probably one of the strongest tools available with the poor or the middle class people in general to come out from the abject poverty. The low standard of education has, on the one hand, helped mushroomings of private corporate schools in a state of Bihar, particularly in Patna, and on the other, the government education system has further deteriorated. Now, the government educational institutions, whether it is school or particularly school, the poor people send their kids just to fetch some benefits in terms of midday meal or stipend, that's all. So the second issue the Prashant Kishore raises is the education. And he promises that the day he assumes power, he will discontinue with the policy of prohibition in the state and will create an additional resources of 30 to 40,000 crore per annum from the excise, and that figure is acceptable as well, because from 2016, when the prohibition was promulgated in Bihar, there has been a gradual systematic creation of a parallel economy around this excise network. A syndicate has been established amongst the bureaucrat on the one hand, the liquor mafia on the other, the politician and the police personnel. So the second plank of Prashant Kishore is education. The third is bringing governance on the track. In the last 2 to 3 years, with the Nitish Kumar's deteriorating health conditions, the governance of Bihar has been virtually concentrated in few hands. The kitchen cabinet of Nitish Kumar, and as a matter of fact, there are few bureaucrats, you can count their numbers on fingers. They have virtually usurped the entire political and administrative powers. They have no responsibility but all the powers. They have all the powers without accountability, and this has thoroughly demoralized the bureaucracy of the state, and they have unleashed a kind of, reign of terror, what many people call. So Prashant Kishore says that if he comes to the power, he will bring governance on the track. And apart from that, the social security networks, providing pensions to the old people, and so on and so forth. Development, of course. So, the intelligentsia, the press, the political parties, even the common people who have in a way so familiarized with the typical national politics of Hindutva and non-Hindutva, communal and secular, the caste line politics, that they are not prepared to accept that this third kind of electoral politics has already been created in this state. And I'm sorry to say that most of the media, including the print media and the mainstream channels, they have failed to understand that Prashant Kishore has already created a third kind of political constituency in this state of Bihar. I don't know to what extent he will be able to make people understand that you should vote on the education, you should vote on the question of unemployment, you should vote on the question of large-scale migration, you should vote on the abject poverty. I don't know. Only time will tell. But he had successfully made inroads. He had successfully made his carpet unrolled. And that is why all political parties, most of the media, most of the intellectuals who have for the last 4 or 5 decades have been consuming the typical ideological tablets of the typical Indian politics, they don't appreciate it. And that's the problem of Prashant Kishore. So many rallies have been held in Gandhi Maidan, Patna. So many caste rally, Kurmi Chetna rally, Teni rally, Kushwaha rally, Musar rally, so many. But the kind of attack which we saw for Prashant Kishore in media and amongst the political parties had been absent. So, it's very difficult for Prashant Kishore, or for that matter anybody else. I don't know to what extent he will be able to sustain this narrative. I don't know to what extent he will be successful as far as electoral politics. I mean, how many MLAs would win in 2025 elections? I don't know. Only time will tell. But definitely, he has been successfully made this third kind of electoral political constituency created. Many people say, and he have been saying this in so many interviews, that why should people believe in him? And he rightly says that if you have been consuming the medicines prescribed by these political doctors for so many times, so many years, and your ailment is still there, it is neither diagnosed and nor cured, then what is the harm in taking another kind of pills, another kind of medicines? I am not a supporter of anybody else, but yes, the society of this state, the society of Bihar, must prepare itself for this third kind of political constituency. Now the time has come for people to ask their representatives, their parties, that what you people have done with the education, why the education has collapsed, why the governance has collapsed, why in the last 5 decades we are at the bottom in the parameters of poverty. We have been last in the national list. Why? Why per capita income is still the lowest in the country? Why people are migrating? Why corruption is so rampant? Why industries is not coming? So these are the harsh realities. But the problem is that the majority of the people have been intoxicated in the names of caste, in the name of subcaste, in the name of Hindutva, in the name of communalism, that they are still in hallucinations. The time is very tough for Prashant Kishore to break these hallucinations. But one thing is sure, that probably history would repeat itself. The first republic of this, not country, the first republic of this entire area has been here in Vaishali. I'm very optimistic that probably the first or the first success of this third kind of political electoral constituency that has been created would make its presence felt in 2025 election. I don't know what numbers he would be able, or what numbers Jan Suraj would be able to get in the in the Vidhan Sabha election. But sure, this would make its presence felt. But there are so many challenges. If Jan Suraj is dragged in the typical electoral constituency created by these two political segments, then he would be defeated. The moment he talks about caste, the moment he talks about holding rallies, the moment he talks about giving tickets on the lines of caste and such things, the difference between these two political groupings on the one hand and he as a party on the other would be blurred. And if it happens, he would meet the same fate as that of Arvind Kejriwal. Now, I leave this question to you to debate amongst yourself and to ponder about the new kind of electoral political constituency. Namaskar.